Hu Zhijin, former editor of Chinese state-run Global Times, has raised concerns about the potential for war if Taiwan seeks independence under President William Lai Ching-te, who asserted Taiwan independence means war and the red line drawn by the Chinese mainland is clear. He also questioned Lai's leadership, stating that Lai might not be more radical than his predecessor. Hu pointed out the significance of the United States in Taiwan issue, noting that President Joe Biden publicly stated the U.S. does not support Taiwan independence, but aims to contain China through this matter. He speculated that if former President Donald Trump were to be reelected, it could introduce new uncertainties in the Taiwan Straits due to his presumed stronger stance against China. Glenn, thoughts?
A couple of things. First of all, China will take Taiwan, and they'll take it when the United States is too busy concentrating on something else. We don't have the ability. Luckily, they don't have the ships to land the forces right yet. They will in a couple of years, but they could just, I mean, they could take it if we're not paying attention. We don't have the ability to fight in China, fight China at this point. We just don't have the assets. We don't have the supply chain stretched that far. The one thing that you have to pay attention to on Taiwan is the chips that they make. These are the highest end chips. These are the ones for the supercomputers. They have the ability in Taiwan to make chips that nobody else makes. If China gets those chip factories, we lose. The whole world loses to China. And everybody knows that, especially China. I've talked to people who, have experience at the NSA and Department of Defense who have been in conversations about China. And it blew my mind when they said this. Their best hope is that if China starts to invade or take Taiwan, that we will blow up all of the chip plants.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Really?
That's like seriously discussed. Maybe we should just blow all the chip plants up so they can't have it either.
How much is that as a threat and just kind of like talking shit, just saying, I'm going to kick your ass? You think it's like, kind of like that? Because
have you read that? Have you heard that anywhere?
No, I mean, I read that. I remember when that story came out. But you know what would happen if they did that? The supply of the semiconductor chips that we need, that the world relies on with, Taiwan, price of used cars would go to the roof. Price of new cars, everything would go to the roof. Because God knows how many, each car that you buy has anywhere between 1,500 to 3,000 chips. A lot of those chips, depending on the quality. So I don't know if they're talking smack or if they're being real about it.
Do you not think that there are? I mean, I think these are early 20th century progressives, many of them. They are anti-human. Yeah. They are anti-modernity. I don't think that there's a problem with there's some really scary people that would really mean, okay, so yeah, all right, so millions would die, but this goal would be accomplished. But yes, we'll starve people on this, but we won't be eating meat and it'll be good for the planet. I think these people are so anti-human that those kinds of things, the reason why we lasted the Cold War is because of the movie The Day After. Ronald Reagan watched it. ABC gave him a videotape of it. He watched it in the Oval Office. Gorbachev watched it, and they both changed. In Reagan's diary, he said, "Dear Lord, we cannot let this happen." So you had two reasonable people who said, no matter what, too many people will die. We cannot do that. We're coming to a place to where some of the people who have power, they don't think that way. What we think is unthinkable, they do, because it would be good for the planet. It would be good. We are expendable. We're sheep.
Do you think China is China first? How do you think Xi looks at World Economic Forum? As a useful idiot?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so China looks at, World Economic, we're going to use these guys. We're going to buy them out and give them some favors, and they're going to do whatever we want them to do. That's how they view them. Okay. Do you think China, Xi, is excited about a Trump candidacy, or he would much rather prefer it be a Newsom or a Michelle or somebody on the left or a Biden?
Well, definitely a Biden because he's bought and paid for. So, yeah, Biden would be his choice.
Why do you think why do you think China, if Biden, under Biden, let's just say, Putin took advantage of it, went after Ukraine, and, NATO is saying we may have a war for 20 years or whatever they're talking about here, or, hey, Hamas attacks Israel. All right, so that took place, and then there's that war going on, which has been so divisive worldwide. Afghanistan, we leave, God knows how much weapons we left behind.
And the Air Force base that China now has.
Yes, and
Bagram.
Why do you think, if China is so bad and evil, which I believe they are, why do you think they haven't yet attacked and done anything to Taiwan? What are they waiting for?
They're playing the long game. They can't. They don't have the ships to do it. I don't think that China wants to have a war. China would rather just take it. And they're such long-term thinkers that, okay, wait 5 years. The United States is falling apart. They're not going to be able to do it. We'll have everything we need to be able to do it. Maybe in 5 years. I mean, look at Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Look at Hong Kong. They didn't do anything until we were distracted, and then all those people went away.
Yeah, nobody even talks about Hong Kong at this point.
Right. And if they would have acted when everybody were like, well, they're backing down, they would have had the whole world in their face. They win.
Different thoughts. Do you have a different view than what Glenn said?
Not really, except one thing that I'll add to it, and he didn't bring up the word, but I think he's probably going to perk up when I say it, is sometimes they look really, really crazy, and then they understand some of these outcomes, but you have to remember there is a huge plank in their platform, is the WF and the global thinkers, about depopulation being good. Mm-hmm. So, right? Mm-hmm. So if there is calamity in everything that takes out 2 billion people over a span of 6 years, that's okay because it's actually healing to the earth because we're stressing the earth. We don't need this many people and all like that. Now, military strategy would say that the best day to go after Taiwan is August 21st of this year, if that's the last day of the Democratic convention in Chicago, if Biden is the candidate. Because they're like, okay, it's still Biden. Mm-hmm. We got to do it now because if Trump wins, we can't do it. Because Trump's going to expand the base there and say, I dare you. It's very simple. All we have to do is expand the military presence in Taiwan we already have and say, I frickin' dare you. Yeah. Right? That's it.
They won't
very,
make
very
that
simple.
move with Trump.
But to Glenn's point, Rob, the chart, this is exactly what you were referencing. The blue is Taiwan's market share of the world high-end chips.
Jeez, look at that.
It would be a terrible
disaster.
No, that's why.
By the way, this is from CNBC. This isn't from
This is 4 years ago,
right?
And you want to understand national interests. Is it in our national interests? That's pretty clear.
Oh, it's 100% national interest and international interest and China's interest and a lot of people's interest.
Yep.
This'll. I remember when during COVID, used cars were selling for more than new cars. You're like, wait a minute, what's going on? Remember, you couldn't find a watch, you couldn't find anything.
Ford couldn't ship F-150 pickups. They had
my car was worth $20,000. The Ford F-150, $20,000 more a year after I bought it. I'm like, what do you mean by this? This is like, we'll pay you 20 more. People are paying a premium for it. I'm like, you're kidding me? No. So it was a very weird time at that time.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.